We are going to be talking TechBio trailblazers, innovations, entrepreneurships, and investments. If you'd like to come onto the stage, ladies, and join me, we've got Loretta TIOIELA, we've got Dr. Rachel Shaw, and we've got Shakiba Kaveh. So Shakiba, you're here. Rachel's there. And Loretta here. So it's basically like a high-powered brunch. So, Loretta, we were talking behind the stage about why we are here today and what we're doing, which is going to be showcasing some incredible talent. So I'm going to let you talk for a bit to tell me what's going on and what the vision is.
Yeah, definitely. Super excited to be here with everyone and talk a bit more about TechBio. I think the first thing that we can say is basically to start by defining what is TechBio. A lot of things is happening in biotech right now, and biotech is definitely changing. I think what is most important is biotech doesn't look the same because biotech startups now are not just all about drugs and therapeutic. They are working in fashion tech, in climate tech, in cosmetic products. They're building for the future, and this is one of the main divergences that we see right now in biotech. And the only reason why this is really possible is because there's a shift in the way that biotech startups nowadays are actually building. They are closer to platform and becoming platforms because they are basically leveraging the power of computing. So we're here today because we want to introduce and present some of the best amazing founders that I've met in this ecosystem with Rachel and Shakiba, but more than just two amazing founders that we want to feature, we also want to give a hint in the industry and what's happening in the industry.
Great. So do we want to first talk about what our two founders are doing? Who wants to go first?
Sure, I can go. So I'm Shakiba, CEO and co-founder of Mitra Bio. We started it 3 years ago, so we've developed a way to non-invasively sample the skin and extract biomarkers, looking at methylation, which is an important epigenomic mechanism that can diagnose aging as well as early cancer detection. So the problem that we faced was, you have a lot of blood tests or saliva tests or urine, but if you want to actually test the skin, the only way to see the biological data from it is to take a biopsy. So it's not really scalable, and a lot of data is hidden behind these biopsies. So we've developed a way that you can extract DNA methylation using tape. So it's just like a piece of tape that you put on your skin. And the very first people that got interested in us were skincare companies. So L'Oreal's of the world developing skincare for the age of the skin. Does it work? So now we are working with some of the top skincare or even Botox manufacturers to tell them whether their ingredients or their innovation really targets the root cause of skin aging. Thank you.
I love that, from cancer to Botox.
Yeah.
Covering the full ethical range. We're trying to save your life and also freeze you.
I think she got me there.
That's great. Rachel, over to you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rachel Shaw. I'm CEO. I'm one of the co-founders of Eden Bio, which is working in the space of basically the future of food and every other protein technology out there. This is a really exciting space because we're at the start of this biotech revolution, where a lot of protein products that were traditionally made through animal farming, which, as we all know, climate unstable, geopolitical instabilities are causing issues with this. It's basically not going to be able to continue the way it has been for many years now. And people are looking to fermentation as an alternate technology for producing not only a lot of the products that have traditionally been made through animals, but also some of the incredibly innovative new proteins that are being made through AI and other generative tools these days. So we are at this point of inflection where we're going to see thousands of new types of protein products arriving. So proteins that are stronger or taste different, that allow us to do a whole range of make a different range of products. And this is where Eden Bio comes in, because the traditional fermentation technologies and methodologies that are out there were created in the 1980s, but haven't taken advantage of latest in AI technology and the other incredible innovations that have happened in recent years that allow us to do this fermentation much more effectively than has ever been possible before. So we use machine learning and other technologies to find ways to better optimize microorganism strains for fermentation, helping companies that are bringing these incredible proteins to market get there faster and more innovatively than ever before.
Now, for those of us who are not scientists, can we just take a step back and say, why? Why are you doing this? Yeah. What's the problem you're trying to solve? So you're making synthetic proteins, et cetera, biology, cells get mentioned, but if you had to talk about this to someone who's never done this, or it's been years since they've studied it, and I don't just mean me, how would you explain this?
Yeah, so the whole point of these proteins is to get us moving away from traditional forms of protein production, animal farming. So cows producing not only milk, chickens to produce egg whites, all sorts of food, but also industrial enzyme things, products that you get as byproducts from cows that have been traditionally, you need the cow to do. Now we're able to make these incredible proteins without animals.
So an animal welfare perspective is a great one here.
Not just that, but also to be able to allow us to produce these new proteins that couldn't be produced through animals. You've got these incredibly innovative enzymes that have all sorts of different functions. So plastic degrading enzymes, for example, not traditionally produced in cow. So you need fermentation as a technology to produce these new enzymes that have these incredible new functions.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. I will throw the same question to you. Why?
Yeah, because now if you, for example, if you feel low in energy, you go and take a blood test. You can look at a lot of biomarkers in your blood to really diagnose, but there isn't anything for skin. So skincare in industry is kind of this like big marketing buzzword that they all throw in. And the more I speak with these skincare companies, even though they are not really regulated, but they are really regulated by the people who use them. And they've actually found that if you can personalize their ingredient to the need of the individual skin, they can sell more, they can retain more people because of it. Mm-hmm. So there is this whole need of, can I understand truly what your skin needs and personalize my recommendation to it, so you will buy more, you will buy bigger, and you will buy for longer. So with us, we're like, okay, how can you really understand the skin? I mean, you can take a photo of it, but it's very subjective. So how can you understand, what is the UV score of your skin is? What's the inflammation score? What is the aging score? Are you sort of someone that are aging at a faster pace than someone who does not, so trying to really leverage the biomarkers that you get from your skin to the course of treatment that you can take, and this is what we face at the moment. There is no way to really read the skin other than looking at it. So we've developed a way to extract all these biomarkers from it, and it's really cool.
That's incredible, because I guess it kind of reminds us that the skin is an organ, right? Because we often just think of it as just our skin, right? It's a sort of surface holding all the rest of it together. But this is an organ that we need to take care of. And if we can't read it to see if it's in good health or not, we could be missing out on all sorts of health problems. I mean, I don't know if we want to call aging a health problem or just a beautiful part of being alive, but aging well. But certainly the cancer, the inflammation risk for people with eczema or psoriasis, et cetera, that would be such a help for them, and personalizing it as well.
Yeah, there's a big misdiagnosis when it comes to skin, because there's no way to directly read it. So yeah, hopefully, we see this even more. Like, you have all these preventative biomarkers like Zoe Health, Oura Ring, and I was just speaking to another female founder that now you can, when you look at your hormonal health, you can actually understand from the flow of your period, volume, regularity, you can diagnose many female, problems rather than just looking at certain hormones. So there are all these indirect biomarkers of health that I think in the next 10 years is going to become very important in the preventative health. And I think people are, hungry for them.
Do you need any 47-year-old women that you want to
Yeah,
test it on to
sure,
make
yeah.
it better? Volunteer subject. I'm sure I speak for many people in this audience. Loretta, a question for you before we come back to you, Rachel, so don't relax. You have a mission to build the largest synthetic biology open computing community. Tell us about that mission and how that relates to the two founders that we have on stage with us.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a journey. I think the word I'm getting out of what Shakiba just said, this notion of reading human life. And I think that this is the core concept behind and what I was explaining when I was talking about TechBio. What we're seeing here is a paradigm shift, where instead of approaching life as something where it's providing us its basic operating rule and we accept it, we are now reached a stage where in terms of technology maturity, we are able to influence it, we can redesign it, we can reprogram it. And that is the most important principle shift. And that means that when you start to think about things in this perspective, anything is basically possible. But when I started, it was with a very basic issue that I was trying to address. I'm coming from a very poor background, and obviously violence is always something that comes along. And for me, the idea was the idea of rewiring the brain. So when I started, I was interested in neuroscience. I was someone who was working tech for the past 15 years, and I was trying to apply my knowledge in cloud and AI and quantum to how can I rewire the brain. And obviously, because I'm a technologist, I'm a very simple mind. I will do what I can do and what I know how to do, which is basically build, build, build. And so I was trying to tackle that issue. And so very quickly, I started to work with neuroscience startups. And I realized there's a problem here. I was never going to be able to rewire any brain as long as I'm not able to fix the data issue with biotech startups, because all of them are actually data prone. By definition, biologists, life science researchers are the epitome of providing data. All that they do is run experiments, but for me as a computing scientist, these experiments is data. This is just tons and tons and tons of data. But what I could see was basically the data is there, but the way to approach, to manipulate it, to structure it, and to analyze it, and to shift it away is not there. So we needed a way out. But how can you actually build that? You're not going to have one-size-fits-all platform. I tried that, didn't work out, didn't get investment, so it's kind of, okay, I blew this one out, next, what can we do? So I knew that the problem was the right one. It was just a matter about how do I go about it? And so instead of focusing on building a platform, I focused on building the ecosystem. I wanted to bring together these two ecosystems, this life science research ecosystem with the computing ecosystem. And for me, it needed to be done in a safe space, a non-for-profit, a neutral space where IP will not be a subject, where we will not have war from one service provider trying to take over control over an entire market. Because what I could see is what needed to happen for us to be able to reprogram life was basically what happened in computing. 30 years ago, computing was very closed off. It was all proprietary software. But through the power of open sourcing, through the power of community, everything changed. And for me, it was kind of a perfect analogy of what I thought what needed to happen in bio. And so creating a computing foundation for bio was my way to approach this. So it was very naive, but it kind of worked because it helped me basically test out that gut feeling that I had and turn it into something that was more than just a gut feeling. Very quickly, we grew to 400 startups ranging from pre-seed stage to Series D. And this has been more than 4 years now. And we're past from the 400 startups. We are reaching out more than 2,000 startups worldwide. And all have this vision that, yeah, bio is changing, and the main component is we're thinking about things as things that we manufacture. We can reset the operating system of life to its original setting, or we can set it to something entirely different.
I mean, congratulations, that's an incredible growth story. How did you come across Rachel, and how did you come across Shakiba? What excited you about what they're both doing?
Yeah. So I think what excited me the most was the impact. And it's definitely a different kind of impact. I think I started with Rachel because as she was explaining, the impact in terms of food production is massive. All of us eat. The planet is growing, 9, 10 billion people on this planet. So we know, all of us know that we need to find a better way to manufacture. And so solving that issue was something like kind of obvious. And so hunting for startups that are trying to leverage computing to actually solve that issue was actually kind of my mission. And so there isn't that many startups actually doing what she's doing. And so it was obvious that I wanted actually to engage and really be able to understand where she was coming from. Because I think coming from someone who have worked in product all my life and now investing, I think a lot of people have great ideas, but there is execution. But behind perfect execution, there is always a great founder. So I was more concerned about, okay, I love this startup, I love the idea, I love what they're doing when I'm looking at their website, but she's the one that is going to pull this off, like really. And so when I met her, it was like, yeah, kind of, because she's like amazing, like really, she has all the quality that a founder needs to have to be able to put through. And I think for me, the first thing is genuinely being kind enough and humble enough to know what she knows and she doesn't know. So this is how our story happened.
We had on our introductory call, I just remember us getting really excited about the potential of the technology, and it's also quite rare. You know, I speak with a lot of investors who are, or a lot of people who are in the industry who have some insight into it. But Loretta just got it. She understood the potential and the excitement in this space. You know, we were talking about how we're at such a turning point that it's not that crazy to be imagining that you can have celebrity chefs with this kind of technology designing their own proteins for their restaurant so that they can have something that you can't taste anywhere else. That's the level of innovation that fermentation can bring to where we are as a world. And yeah, I just remember us getting really excited about the potential.
Yeah, it's like branding your own protein, and so you know that nowhere in the world people would be eating that food because it's like your own particular recipe, but not even at the higher macro level, but really at the molecular level. This is so amazing.
I love this. The Michelin guide is going to be revolutionized.
Someone needs to invest in this, by the way.
So are you saying that we could have different tastes besides sweet, sour, bitter?
No, I mean, they'll be within those categories. There's also umami, which everyone always forgets about that one. But yeah, it's more a case of it could have a different variation of it. It could be something new.
Yeah.
Right. And how about Shakiba?
Yeah, like I mentioned, there is a wide range of application. And the thing is, scale is whatever the way that you're going to go at it and think about it. It's also about thinking about things that are here in your everyday life. You don't really think about it. Everyone is doing it, and yet it's occupying such a massive market. But because it has become so integrated, people don't think about it as a business opportunity. And skin is definitely an important one. And of course, like you mentioned just before, you start to think about it from a beauty aesthetic perspective, but there is so much more because like you said, it's one of the most massive organ, actually. Its surface area is massive, and there is not just the aesthetic part, there is also the health-related part. So for me, it was like kind of, yeah, and this is a topic that is almost unexplored. And that's what I liked in the way that Shakiba was actually going about it, because it's unexplored almost. And so, like she said, there's a lot of cosmetic, like take photo, try to apply computer vision to analyzing the skin. And these are amazing. These are the first layer that we needed to go through and we need to go through still. And they both are complementary. But going one step further, that one close deeper to the real, mechanism of how the skin works, that was like kind of amazing. The only thing is, I hunted her down. I was just like, okay, have you heard about me? Hello, what are you doing? And so we had the chance to connect, and so I think for me it was like, yeah, I think she had all the quality again to bring this forth, and I think it's its uniqueness of the vision that really seduced me.
Thank you. And you've both got the vision. You've clearly got from your bios the sort of street cred and what it takes to make it happen. How do you both feel as founders, being here, particularly in the UK, where we have such a strong life sciences sector and this moment that we're living in with AI, where we've got the data, we've got compute, we've got the financing, there's this real enthusiasm about it. What do you feel you both need? We've got about 5.5 minutes left, so I'll start with Rachel, and then I'm going to come over to you.
Yeah.
What do you feel that you need to take your vision and make it full?
Yeah. So for us, the massive challenge out there is data. Machine learning, AI technologies are nothing without the data that you use to build them. It's what it needs to be able to learn, to be able to do whatever it's going to figure out. And so this is a huge challenge, so building out that data set. But more than that, there's also the challenge of employing the right individuals who have the capability to do this, because we sit at the confluence of synthetic biology and machine learning. They're two industries that have traditionally been very separate, and that's what is allowing us to now apply these two together and come up with these incredible innovations in this space that just haven't been done before. But finding people who also have that expertise is rare. So yeah, one of the challenges is, do you grow that expertise in-house? How do you expect the UK or the global network to really, over the coming years, drive more people with this joint expertise that will help get us there, and then together working with them to build this data sets that we're going to need to improve what the machine learning can achieve.
Shakiba, does that ring bells?
Yes, for sure. I mean, I echo with the talent strongly. I mean, here in the UK, it's great to run a biotech startup, but it's still very hard to hire the right talent internally. I mean, it took us 6 months to hire computational and bioinformatician. So there is this really gap that we had to, go to other countries to even bring people in, sponsor them. And also I would say pre-seed money for biotech still lacking. So we are in a, I can speak for ourselves, we are at this limbo state that we've proven the tech, but there's still more commercial traction to be done. There is a bit of a vacuum here in terms of funding. So more biotech investors at an earlier stage. So that's what it is.
Particularly in the UK. You see a lot in America that are much more willing to jump at the exciting potential of this technology, but in the UK there's just a bit more reluctance, and it's a gap, unfortunately.
Is that because they don't understand it?
No, I think they do. I think that the UK has always been quite a conserved place. We are looking for more evidence of traction before we typically jump in. But that, unfortunately, comes with the downside of sometimes then you miss out.
Right. Yeah. And this piece that you've both identified about talent is really interesting to me. So if you knew that you were being broadcast live, for instance, straight into our friends in the House of Commons, if people were in civil servants were listening, teachers, parents who are thinking about how we're going to train up the next generation of people to be able to work across disciplines. What should they be doing? Should they be studying the biology and then add AI on after, or come at it from the AI perspective and then have to do the biology? Like, where do you start? Or is there a way of doing combined degrees? Do we need to rethink how we do university education or A-levels?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're starting to see more combined degrees coming available, but they're rare. What you instead are seeing is that people, for example, one of my co-founders, Dr. Chris Reynolds, his background was in biology, and then he, through his interest, then started learning the machine learning, and then was in his own trying to apply the two together. And hopefully that's of the past. Hopefully now what we're seeing is that this cross-discipline becomes a discipline of its own, because there's so many innovations there that if we just have people focused in the space, that they'll be able to find.
Yeah. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, and I would say, if I ever have a kid, I would get them to learn a skill, not like science, because you can read the science and learn it. I mean, I come from a non-bio background, and I had to literally learn, what the science is, what the biology is, and I was able to, pick up the science. But what I cannot pick up is, coding or these machine learning skills. This is like, there's no way I could learn that in such a short time. So
yeah, it's very, very funny actually, because I have a kind of a shifted perspective on this. I'm coming from a non-bio background originally either, and I spent most of my career in computing, and so I had to make that jump from computing to bio. And so retrospectively, I would say, I know coding is so impressive, and I think there's a lot of mental models sometimes that just prevent you from getting started. But in a weird way, I still want to believe that it's easier to pick up on that than actually really picking up on the entire, I would say, 5 to 10 years education that it requires to really educate someone into turning that one person into a master degree, PhD level person. And so coming from tech, I think for me it's much, much harder actually to make that jump. And I think that if I were to do things the other way around, I would definitely go for going for the bio for sure, building that. Because the thing is, what she said like about the data, the algorithm or just the extraction of the value out of these data. They are just a manifestation of that. But the real thing is the data. So, but data is, you need to have insight. We always talk about this idea of AI is going to replace everything. We have had this debate around for a long time with healthcare, where we're thinking, okay, you're not going to need a radiologist, you just need an AI that is going to tell you if there is something in your scans. I don't agree on that, because I think that it's just an enabler. It's just like siphon all the noise, but the human eye, the intelligence and the ability to track, detect is also there. And so I think it goes the same for data. Someone that is coming from computing will never be able to do anything out of any biological data, because they have no basic understanding of what's happening at the biological level. And so you have no way. You can apply basic techniques. Okay, you're going to do a random forestry. Okay, well, you know, the problem is with data is if it means nothing to you, no matter what your skill set is, you're still not going to do long with it. There is a reason why we need labeling. There is a reason why we need expert training and expert eyes to actually analyze this data. So the data in itself as a broad structure means nothing without the knowledge. That's why I'm still convinced that
science first, add the AI after?
Yeah, science first. And then whatever, because the techniques will change. Today we're talking about transformers and LLM, and the techniques will change. They are just a manifestation, but you need that understanding first.
Loretta, I feel like we could all listen to this for a lot longer, and I have the terrible news of saying I have to get us off the stage, so we've got another fantastic panel coming on. Thank you so much. That was just wonderful. Loretta, Rachel, Shakiba, that was just educational and inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you.